If you are struggling with Pekka Bobat at Town Hall 12, whether you are a new or intermediate Town Hall 12 player, this guide is going to explain it all. Let's go ahead and first talk about base identification and what you need to know about the Pekka Bobat here at Town Hall 12. So you want to look at the splash damage defenses in relative placement to the Town Hall, and of course to your entry point. If you're using the wall wrecker, which most of the time you are, you want to try and look for splash buildings that are around this area, mainly being the multi-infernos, wizard towers, eagle artillery, and the town hall. These are going to be your 4 key objectives that you want to make sure that you're getting through. Now, for the most part, you want to try and look at the entry point and see what you can get rid of via the use of the wall wrecker to break through, and also using the Pekkas, the bowlers, and your heroes as they move into the base. So these are all the splash buildings that this attack is going to be getting. In order to make sure that we're able to get that, we need to know the exact, the minimum number of these buildings that we need to get. So in terms of the multi-target infernos, you need to get at least 1 or 2 of them. I say only 1 because sometimes you may see double singles and a multi. Take advantage of that by getting rid of the multi-target inferno. So you want to make sure that you are just getting rid of at least those 2 at minimum. For wizard towers, you want to try and get 2 or 3 of them. That way you're able to still support your bats via the use of freeze and ice golems. And then for the town hall and eagle artillery, you really just need to get them. There's only 1 of them. Try to get them down as quickly as you can. So that is going to basically be everything about the base identification. Let's go ahead and talk about the funneling. Funneling is very important. You're going to see in this example where we're going to be using a Warden Walk. But in order to create that Warden Walk, we have to funnel the Warden by using the Barbarian King. We're going to create the funnel on one side here to make sure that the Warden goes in the right direction. That way he doesn't continue to walk this way and will walk in the right direction of our entry point. Now we're also going to use the E-Drag over on the left side. Or on the right side. It's going to basically create some chain value. We can get rid of that, and we can support the E-Drag by using some sneaky goblins on storages. Now, if you're going to be doing a Warden Walk, you want to make sure that you are placing the healers right after you place in that Warden. Try to bring a Coco Loon if you can, just to soak up any Seeking Air Mines, but for the most part, you are trying to create a solid funnel. That way you're able to send in your Pekkas and your bowlers into the base, with the wall wrecker right behind and the heroes, mainly being the queen, right behind that. So after you've created a solid funnel, you can now send your Pekkas and your bowlers in. Try to be a little bit more, be patient with your bowlers when you move into them, but make sure that you use the Pekkas in the Warden ability to move them in to the base. Notice the use of the first rage. It's going to power these bowlers and Pekkas through, and we're using the Warden ability to provide more support for these Pekkas and bowlers as they go into the core of the base. We're going to use a second one just to make sure that we're powering them through and keeping them alive. Now, once we get closer to the town hall, we don't really need to worry about that all too much, and we can start the bats. So you can see that we haven't gotten rid of the eagle artillery just yet, but we can path to it very, very easily now that we have a lot of our Pekkas and bowlers and a lot of our troops into that core of the base. Now, when we're doing the bats, this is a bat wave, so we're going to be using them on the outside where it's going to be easy for them and for you to kind of control their path. So you'll see that we're going to be using no free spells just yet, but we do have the use of an Ice Golem. And you'll see the use of the Ice Golem there in order to soak up all the damage from the Wizard Tower. And that's a very smart move for you to use, as for the most part, that will save you from using a freeze spell. And you just want to make sure that you are using freeze over splash buildings and the town hall if some of your bats do split over there. But you want to make sure that you're quick on your freeze spells. So reaction time is key. That's going to really break this up for you guys. It gives you guys an understanding of using the Pekka Bobat here at Town Hall 12, and it gives you a really nice and easy way of doing it. Now, of course, this was an anti-3-star base. What about those dreaded anti-2-star bases and ring bases? Well, fear not. This attack strategy will still work wonders on them, and we do have more examples going through. So if you want to see more, make sure that you keep watching, because we have got a centralized town hall, how to attack centralized town halls next. Now for this second example, we're going to show you guys how to do this against an anti-2-star style of base. We got the town hall directly in the center, which means that it is going to be fairly protected. So we want to take a look at the base design and see where we want to hit. For the most part, we want to try and get rid of this part of the base if we can with the Pekkas and the bowlers. That way we're able to get rid of these two multi-target infernos, and we can get rid of the wizard towers as well. And then we can send in our bats for the eagle and for the other splash buildings. So we want to make sure that we're able to still get through it. So we're going to be starting off by using a Warden Walk. Notice that we also have the use of a baby dragon and not an E-drag. If you have the chance to sort of change that up by using a baby dragon instead, if there's little to no chain value on the outside, then it might be a little bit better to use a baby dragon. Remember, you want to be cost efficient when you're creating the funnel. Now, the thing that you want to do with the Warden Walk is you want to try and create a funnel one layer deep, and that way you're able to control your bowlers to move in instead of staying on the outside. So that's going to be the thing that you want to do, and we're going to do the same thing over here by letting the king break through the wall and get to that wizard tower and get through some of these defensive buildings to make sure that we can send in the wall wrecker in this direction. And again, we could have sent this wall wrecker in any area since the base was mostly sort of symmetrical. We're able to kind of take advantage of it because we can send our wall wrecker from absolutely anywhere. We're going to use the Warren ability early to protect the bowlers, the Pekkas, the wall wrecker, right to get over to the town hall, even if that means that the bowlers will die out. But since the town hall is not really, it's more compact, we're going to be able to protect at least some of the bowlers. Unfortunately, none of them really survive, but we've gotten rid of a majority of the buildings. We got rid of the multi-inferno, we got rid of the town hall. Now what we're able to do is that now that we have the Pekkas moving up top, since that is the next building that they see, and they can go ahead and get the other multi-target inferno, we can now use our bat wave. Notice the use of the first Ice Golem. We have two in this case. We're going to use those two because the splash damage defenses are spread out. So we're using the Ice Golems to take advantage of how these splash buildings like the Wizard Tower and the Eagle Artillery are placed, and that way we're able to continuously move these bats through, and that way they're able to overwhelm these structures like the multi-target Inferno. So you always want to try to bring at least one or two Ice Golems in order to make sure that you're able to protect the bats as much as you can, and that way they're able to get through the rest of the base. Having a tank for your bats is always going to be nice, whether this be using a giant or an Ice Golem, but usually the Ice Golems are going to be much more preferred. So this gives you a really good example of hitting it against a very common, not a very common style, like this base isn't common, but this base design is a very similar style to ring bases and also to centralized town halls, the anti-2-star bases. You can easily take advantage of these by using the Pekka Bobat here at Town Hall 12. Now that you guys understand this one, let's move on into a couple more examples detailing how you guys can use the Pekka Bobat. Now that you know the basic fundamentals to the Pekka Bobat, let's go ahead and show you guys a couple more examples. Starting with this one, we're going to be using the Warden Walk in order to create a funnel. Notice the use of one sneaky goblin to help support the Warden by using it to weaken up this gold storage here. It's really going to be very helpful, and this is exactly what you want to try and do when you're doing this. You want to help save time. And that way, you're going to be able to do that by using a sneaky goblin. That way, it's going to be able to sort of take a couple less shots. Now, if you do need to, you can always rage up your Warden in case you need to speed him up. That way you're going to be able to get through some of these buildings a little bit quicker. So you'll see the use of the rage spell here in order to make sure that we're able to speed the warden through, keep the healers on the warden, keep him alive as he takes some heavy fire. But once we've gotten a solid area of the base down, we can go ahead and send in the P.E.K.K.A.s within his range. Remember that we're going to be using a king and or P.E.K.K.A. to create the other side of the funnel. And this is kind of what we did. We can now control our P.E.K.K.A.s and bowlers to move into the multi-target inferno. So we're going to be trying to make sure that we're getting rid of a lot of these structures that you see here. So the multi-target infernos and also the Eagle Artillery. Now we're using the Warden ability early as well because we want to get this wall wrecker to move through this heavy DPS area because the wall wrecker is going to be weak to it. So we want to make sure that we are keeping our P.E.K.K.A.s, our bowlers alive as they continue to move through. At any point, we can then go ahead and start our bats once we get right towards this town hall. Now, for the most part, where would you want to use the bat spells? Would you want to use them towards the bottom at 9 o'clock where the multi-inferno were? Or would you rather use them where the wizard, or, use them towards the top? So here, we get rid of those sides, and we're going to be using the Ice Golem on top of the Tesla farm. So what we're going to be doing is, this is an area that you need to be very careful of. If you don't really put a freeze on a Tesla farm, it's really going to do a lot of harm on your bats. So you really want to keep in mind that the bats are weak to splash buildings, but also an overwhelming number of point defenses. So keep that in mind when you're doing this. So make sure that you bring an Ice Golem for any part that you see fit, whether this be a multi, or whether this be a wizard tower or a Tesla farm or a lot of expos. You want to consider all those things. But for the most part, that gives you guys a very solid idea of how you guys can do it with the Sneaky Goblin and also when to use the Ice Golems versus point defenses. Let's give you guys one last example before we wrap up the video. Now, this is going to be the final example where we're going to be seeing the Inferno Towers within a line. Some of the base designs that you see at Town Hall 12 may have this, so you want to consider a lot of different factors. Now, a majority of the time, we didn't really go towards that Eagle Artillery, but in this case, we're going to be doing just that. Notice that we've got the use of the Warden Walk, and we're going to be making sure that he's able to create just a nice, solid funnel. We want to make sure that he's able to sort of get rid of this part of the base. And that way we're going to be able to control our bowlers and our P.E.K.K.A.s a little bit easier. Now, this case, we can also use a super wall breaker in case we want to use the king to go deeper in and get rid of something like a multi-target inferno to enhance the funnel. So you'll see that we're going to do just that. He's going to enter into the base, use the king ability in order to get rid of the inferno, the wizard towers, and get some more value for the Pekka Bobat. We're getting rid of that with just a super wall breaker and heroes. But as we're doing that, we now have the wall wrecker, the Pekka, and the bowlers moving in. We've also got the queen going in right behind. Notice how we're going to be sending them in for this Eagle Artillery. We're getting rid of that along with the wizard towers. Now, even though that we've gotten rid of a fair chunk of the splash via the king, we still want to try and get to that town hall. So that's why we're using the wall wrecker or using the warden ability over the wall wrecker in order to make sure that this wall wrecker gets all the way to the town hall. While that's the case, we can also use these P.E.K.K.A.s and bowlers, raging them up to get rid of the multi-infernos, the town hall, the wizard towers, and notice all the splash that we're getting rid of. For the most part, we're getting rid of all of the splash buildings. There's not a single splash building that isn't going to be taken down. So what this means is, other than this inferno, of course, but for the most part, what that means is you can just use the bats to finish off defenses on the outside. Like you see here, we just have the bats going all around, and we could use the freeze right on top of the wizard tower or multi-target inferno. In this case, it's the multi-target inferno towards the last second, and that way we're going to be able to get rid of the rest of the splash buildings. But for the most part, if your Pekka Bobat, or if your P.E.K.K.A.s and bowlers can get rid of a majority of the splash buildings, that's really going to help you as you move through the rest of it. Another thing that you can also bring in your clan castle could be Yetis. These are great troops for you to bring, as you will be able to sort of get some help via the Yeti mites on top of the town hall. So it's something to consider if you're going to be using the Pekka Bobat and thinking about what you want to use in the wall wrecker. But for the most part, guys, that is going to do it for the video. What do you guys think about this style of content? Make sure that you guys kind of let me know in the comments below. I do appreciate all the constructive criticism. Make sure that you guys go ahead and subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell if you're interested in seeing more of the Town Hall 12 type of content. And make sure that you guys go ahead and follow me over on Twitter. Make sure that you guys go ahead and follow me over on Twitch as well. And make sure that you guys join my community Discord server so you guys get firsthand the notifications for any of my streams and or my videos. On top of that, make sure that you guys use code CorruptYT in the Clash Champ shop to save 10% off your purchase. Other than that though, guys, that's going to do it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll be seeing you guys next time. Corrupt, signing out.